because we just really exciting to have all of you with 134 participants join us today. Once again, welcome all of you here. Anyhow, before we get started, I'm going through like somehow keeping to ensure you can be interact with us and also our speakers well. Firstly, I would like to ask each of you to rename your Zoom ID. You just go to the three dots on the right hand side, on your right hand side above, and start with your nickname or the name that you would like us to call you. And then everyone and for everyone, and then will be followed by the organization and then country. So please right now start to rename your Zoom ID. Then we can know like who you are, which organization, and as our member and network, and also like which country where you come from. Because today, as I told you, we have the participants from all around the world that joining with us, even the also the new member from everywhere. That has Switzerland, Singapore, Samoa, that Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and a lot of participants also from Philippines, from Laos, from Thailand, and many countries that I cannot mention all here. But as I told you, please, firstly, we will know each other by the rename, the Zoom ID. I saw like a lot of you have big changes already. That is very nice. That are really also us for the participant who also like just coming. Welcome, and then please rename your Zoom ID. And then for this 2021 Asia Pacific Partner Meeting, we are using a meeting feature as a Zoom, and everyone will have the ability to turn on your videos. If now your internet connection doesn't have any problem, you can also like please turn on the video, then we can see each other, at least the eye through the video, and also see the reaction that we have between each other. And anyhow, please turn off the microphones. And for more interactions, you can leave your comments and also the question into the chat box. When the time of discussion sessions, we will invite you to be share and comment or raise any questions. Please don't forget to introduce yourself and also identify like which speaker that you would like to addressing the question, or just would like to share your thought or concern or the opinion. You can also do it, but we have some time for you on the discussion session. As I told you, for all the session will be the record, maybe according with the child safeguarding protocol. It will be broadcasting live and also share publicly at a later date. So please allow us to be the record, and I hope that you also got it already from our email that you can get for be the register. And for today, we will start our program with a very special opening speech from our respected presidents of the CRC Asia Board of Trustees. And then be exciting to start our sharing and learning with our respected guest speaker, which I will be introduced to you shortly. And we are very exciting to learn, to share, and also like discuss amongst us. We have the interesting presentation for today, which is highlight on the update and the process of the UNCRC general comments on child rights and environment, with special focus on climate change. With you heard has something on the World Environmental Days already. Then we can also get update from our guest speaker. Very special. And then we also like localizing the Human Rights Council and the child rights, like the rights through the healthy environment. We also will update all for what happening in our ASEAN or the regions, like for the guidance of the child rights and safe. These are all interesting, and the highlight is going to happen in 1.5 hours today. So you see, right now, we would like to be started. Anyhow, now I'm very excited to bring you to engage with us for this meeting, which will be like virtually to be down in 7 meeting in August and September. And please come to join us. And today is our first and kick-off Asia Pacific's partner meeting. We will have a chance to strengthening advocacy, capacity, and also discuss experience to share our ongoing effort that we can work with and for child rights together. For this special day and the first session of Asia Pacific Partner Meeting, we are so happy and honored to have Dr. Elizabeth de Castro, the President of CRC Asia Board of Trustees of the Child Rights Coalition of Asia, to be with us for this special opening to welcome all of you for our partner meeting. I would like to invite Dr. Elizabeth, please, the floor is yours. Please, we'll be welcome you all to our meeting. Please, Dr. Elizabeth.
Good afternoon or good morning, and welcome everyone. And thank you for attending and participating in this very, very important forum. Congratulations also to CRC Asia Coalition for this very wonderful organization of this particular fora, and for organizing this for the children all over the world. First of all, let me say, amidst the pandemic or the COVID-19 crisis that we are experiencing now, I would like to extend a very warm sort of welcome to everybody, especially all of us who are affected by the pandemic. In particular, for example, here in the Philippines, we are being affected very much by a lockdown. I just had several meetings in the morning trying to understand how we're going to proceed with our work in terms of the lockdown and what is the impact on children in terms of how these restrictions or confinement measures are affecting children all over the world in cases of, let's say, their physical health, their mental health, how they are witnessing or experiencing domestic violence, especially gender-based violence, how this is affecting, for example, the impact on education and the rights to be educated, their limited access to various forms of productive health. We reported a lot in many fora, many networks, and sometimes in the news about these increased levels of sexual abuse and exploitation, which may lead to rise in various forms of teenage pregnancies and maternal and child health deaths and rates, okay? It has also impacted on our economy, for example. We have now a very strong experience of child poverty. The loss of jobs and income, for example, due to the pandemic response, pushed children to live in extreme poverty. The impact on education is also so clear because distance learning has highlighted the divide in terms of, for example, geographical location, disabilities, and differences in generations, for example. The diverse effects, of course, on the rights of the child is something that CRC Asia was not blind to see. The Coalition on the Rights of the Child Asia, which is a network of child rights organizations working together to have a strong voice for child rights in the region, strives to strengthen these child rights movements all over the world by increasing our advocacies, alliances, and service to our stakeholders, as well as building the capacity of our child rights groups and partners. Since 2015, we have organizing CRC Asia's Pacific Partnership Meeting of Child Rights Coalition and Networks to contribute to understanding and emerging child rights issues and situations. More specifically, the Asia Pacific Meeting of Child Rights Coalition and Networks will be conducted with the following objectives. For example, we would like to strengthen the advocacy capacity of child rights coalitions and networks in implementing and monitoring the realization of child rights by building their knowledge on an overarching emerging child rights issues and situations. In particular, for example, I would just like to mention our personal project, for example, in our group, Child Psychosocial Support and Children's Rights Resource Centers, where we're investigating child rights situations in specific regions in the Philippines. And that's a very specific effort in terms of building the network of Child Rights Coalition. On the second objective, we would like to provide spaces for civil society to discuss, experience, and share ongoing efforts in working for and with children in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Amidst all of this, we have to say and strongly say that children and their families and their communities do take action, and they strive to understand what the impact of the COVID pandemic is all about. And they strive to help themselves and help each other by protecting their families and by making all the efforts to improve their situation. We know that children are not passive citizens, but are active citizens and participants in this effort of a pandemic response and finding solutions to the problem. This afternoon and the many days thereafter, I would like us to listen and hear the voices of the children to the efforts of the various organizations that are striving very hard to work for these children and represent children in many of the advocacies that we are promoting, specifically for the enjoyment of child rights and for monitoring and protecting children in terms of the violations of these rights. And I would like to conclude by saying thank you very much to all our partners. Thank you very much to all our members for this very, very wonderful effort of moving forward and protecting our children in these most difficult times. And I would like to say again, take care, be safe, and be well. Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Beth, for the special opening session to make us hear more encouraged and also empowered to work more together with this COVID difficult situation and circumstances, and bring our positive energy to be here with among each other for the child right in Asia Pacific region and also all around the world, because today we have participants from all around the world. That is very remarkable for opening session like this. For this year, Asia Pacific Partner Meeting will center on the interrelated issue and emerging concern of the region. Today, we kick off with the first sessions with the child rights and the environment. Recently, if you catch up on the news and also announcement on the World Environmental Days on the 5th June, we celebrate the 5th June together and with the exciting news when our CRC committee announced this is the next general comment to be having the title of child rights and the environment with special focus on the climate change. Also in Southeast Asia region or ASEAN, a policy guideline on being developed for the promotion and protection of the children's right to safe, clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. The climate crisis and really want to this COVID-19 that's going to be happen. It's like the signal, the urgencies, and the children from all around the world are taking the actions, and the impact that already occurring, leaving the most disadvantaged and also marginalized group of the children bear the heaviest burden and longer term with more than adults. And also in ours, if you remember in our 2019, one of the session of our ASEAN Pacific Partner Meeting also on the child rights and environment, with aim to develop the understanding and the child rights coalition and the network on the advocacy together. And continue with this year, how we're going to be addressed to this issue, and also continue with our advocacy work more together. Let's begin our learning and discussion session this afternoon by welcoming our guest speaker, who are the most important and also working for this emerging issue to create a positive change for children's rights and environments. With our thankful and honors today, we have our guest speaker who be with us today. First, please welcome Attorney Mikiko Otani, the chair of the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child. And then we also have Dr. Rinchen Chophel, the member of UN Committee on the Rights of the Child and the Director General of the South Asia Initiative to End Violence Against Children Regional Secretariat. Also be with us today, Agnes, Gracia, Corbero, the Program Officer of Child Rights Connects on behalf of Working Group on Environment, and also going down into the Southeast Asia or ASEAN region, we have also our young people, our young legal officer, Ha Yun-jung or Michael. We call him Michael. Michael, the legal officer and the legal aid of Cambodia and technical advisor of Child Rights Coalition Cambodia, be with us. This is all the important people that be with us today to share and also have some presentation that is very important to our discussion later. Once again, thank you very much to be with us today. We are so glad you could be here today to share your insight on children's rights and healthy environment. Then let's start straight away into the contents. As I have mentioned to you earlier, it's about the child rights and the environment with a special focus on climate change, with ours, Mikiko, the chairs of the UNCRC, announced that the next general comment will be having the working titles on and we will be curious to know and learn more what is the update or the progress of developing the UNCRC general comments on the child rights and environments with a special focus on climate change. So I will give the floor to our Mikiko. Once again, thank you to be with us today, and please welcome our Mikiko. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all. It's such a pleasure to meet all of you at this network meeting, which takes every year. So today, the title of the presentation is Updates on the Process of Developing the General Comment, but I'd like to start by sharing with you the overview of the work that the committee has so far done on this issue of children's rights and the environment. This is a background of our recent decision to embark the process of drafting a new general comment. So the first moment I should highlight is the DGD 2016, as all of you have already known. The DGD Day of General Discussion in 2016 was on the theme children's rights and the environment. This was the stepping stone for the committee to formally recognize the significance and the need to pay special attention to this issue. The DGD analyzed and clarified the legal framework for the children's environmental rights, both as substantive and procedural rights. The analysis revealed that relationship between the environment with the wide range of substantive rights of the child under the Convention on the Rights of the Child, including the right to life, survival and development, health, food and nutrition, water, adequate standards of living, culture, play and leisure, freedom from violent conflicts, and child marriage. The DGD also highlighted the critical importance of procedural children's environmental rights, such as access to environmental information, civil rights, environmental education, environmental impact assessments, participation in environmental matters, and access to justice, through which children can act as agents of change. The DGD, while reiterating the state's primary obligation to protect children's environmental rights through the regional natural law, policy, and regulation of business sector at the national level, also called for incorporating and mainstreaming children's rights into the existing environmental agreement and more cooperation among institutions and actors, both at the international and national levels. The collaboration between the committee and the UN Special Rapporteur on the Environment for the DGD 2016 has been continuing until today, shown, for example, by the contribution of the committee to his thematic report in 2018 dedicated to the theme of children's rights and environment. The important role of children as agents of change recognized in the DGD 2016 was discussed again in the next DGD 2018 under the theme Protecting and Empowering Children as Human Rights Defenders. The DGD 2018 recommendations specifically called for the recognition and support of the environmental child human rights defenders. The importance role of child human rights defenders was also highlighted in the Human Rights Council resolution on environmental human rights defenders adopted in 2019. In the same year, the committee issued a press release welcoming children campaigning on climate change and their active and meaningful participation as human rights defenders. The committee emphasized that the children must be at the center of the discourse on climate change, and their opinion should be listened to and taken into account, and that as the beneficiary of today's decisions, they have a central role to play. Climate change and the environment has always been high on the agenda of the committee, in particular in the meetings with the children, such as on the occasion of the CRC 30th anniversary event in Geneva, but most significantly in the historic session in Samoa in March 2020, where the committee met and discussed this issue with the children in the region seriously affected by climate change. Now I'd like to turn to another aspect of the work of the committee, which is normative development on this issue. Since the DGD 2016, the committee has increasingly addressed the environmental issues in the country reviews, often under the headings such as the children's rights and business sector, respect for the views of the child, environmental health and impact of the climate change on the rights of the child. In September 2019, the committee, together with other 4 treaty bodies, issued the joint statement on human rights and climate change on the occasion of the Climate Action Summit by the UN Secretary General in the same month. The joint statement once again reiterated that children should not be seen only as victims or in terms of vulnerability, but they should be recognized as agents of change and as essential partners in the local, national, and international efforts to tackle climate change. The joint statement articulated states' human rights obligations to take measures to prevent foreseeable human rights harm caused by climate change, to regulate activities contributing to such harm, and to cooperate to address climate change. The committee in the joint statement committed itself to continue to keep climate change under the review and provide guidance to states on how they can meet their obligations under the convention in relation to mitigation and adaptation to climate change. I also would like to mention another important element in children's activism on climate change and the environment, which is their asking for remedies, justice, and accountability. The complaints by 16 children against 5 countries were submitted to the Committee on the Rights of the Child in 2019, claiming that those states are responsible for the violation of their rights caused by climate change and seeking the remedies at the international level through the OPIC Third Option Protocol. Climate change-related litigation by young people and children are increasing all over the world, and child activism in seeking justice is getting more prominent at the national level and regional and international level. We have learned about the such child-led litigation in the courts in Australia, Germany, or South Korea, for example, and also the Portuguese children filed a case in the European Court of Human Rights. So last year in 2020, on the occasion of the 57th anniversary of the UN, Secretary General, in his highest aspiration, a call to action for human rights issued in February last year, appealed that all of us must act at all levels and that we must create space for younger generation to participate in shaping the decisions that will affect their future, especially climate change. He stated that future children are asking through the young people of today, demanding today's decision makers to come up with concrete commitments, solutions, and real action. He also alerted that the window of opportunity to act is closing rapidly. So now I'd like to share some of my views on the new general comment the committee is going to draft. What I'm going to say now is not on behalf of the committee, although I am now in the position of the chairs of the CRC, but I want to share my personal views on this topic and the work of the committee. So why the committee should draft a general comment on environment and climate change? I see no need to explain the reasons. You have already heard how the committee has been working on this issue. When I was elected as a chair of the committee on the 17th of May this year, one of the topic which I felt very strongly as my responsibility as a chair is the climate change. This is a sort of sense of responsibility as a committee, the child rights experts who monitor the implementation of the convention by 196 countries all over the world. This is not because of the special vulnerability of the children. In the DGD 2016, the heightened obligation of the states was highlighted because of the special vulnerability of the children. This is true, still true, but I'd like to more emphasize our responsibility for the justice. As the Secretary General called, I think this is a responsibility for us to respond to the children's call and create space for the children to participate in the decision-making on climate change and support their access to justice and accountability. This is us, the CRC, to speak out, to support them and ask states to provide the guidance to states how they should deliver their obligations, what kind of actions they should take. So for me, the key word is justice, intergenerational justice, because it's not only for the children today, but the children in the future and all adults, our generation or previous generation have failed. We prioritized economic development on our convenience or our interest in seeking more economic interest or benefits. So it's our responsibility to mitigate the climate change, what is happening now, and impact on the children today and the future. And also for me, it's a justice, not only intergenerational, but also inter-country justice, because some small, of course, all of us are responsible for the climate change, but the who are most affected are the people and most marginalized people or more vulnerable in their situations by the countries who have high income and who have led all the economic activities in the previous generations. So it's a justice intergenerational justice and also cross-border and inter-country justice, in my view. So the one of the key is international cooperation. We need to clarify what kind of obligations of the states, not only to the children in their country, but in the other countries through international corporations. So now, today, I'm very much excited to hear from you because the committee only decided and announced that our plan to embark the general comment, but how can we accelerate this pace? You know that generally the committee takes 2 years to adopt the general comment. Should we wait for 2 years to pronounce some new normative guidance for the states and start working to implement such guidance after 2 years? So this is the challenge for me as a chair. First of all, of course, we cannot fail to adopt this general comment in a appropriate time span, but also can we speed up? Is there any innovative way to do that? And also, while working on the general comment, new general comment, how can we make use of every opportunity to address this issue through country reviews? Because we continue to review the countries. So this is the opportunity for us to provide guidance to the states. Also, how can we already translate norms into the actions at the local and national levels? How can we support more the children's activism, not only in the courts, but also in the policy decision making at the national and local and regional and international levels? So this is my thought as a chair of the CRC, and I love to hear from you the response, and so that I can bring it back to the work of the committee. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mikiko, for your insight sharing with us. I felt like you could be from the presentations of the Mikiko, you can see the overview of this child right and environment, especially on the GD, and then also very much highlight on the meaningful participations of the children as the agent of change, and in the same time as a human rights defenders, that they can share their decision making, and in the same time going down to the protection, how we can access to the remedy and highlight it on inter-country or international justice that is need to be highlighted, and all in go on the way on the state that can do guide for the general comment that will be open for all of you to be discussed later. Then for this, you might see like the really good big picture. They can see how we can going to work to each other. And please, if you have any questions or comments, please write into the chat box and ask to the speaker for the discussion. We will try to reach the question and comment as much as we can when the times of the discussion and Q&A session. So after this, we will bring you a bit to continue to more discussion or bring it down to be the actual preparations of the general's comment or GC on the ground. We have Dr. Rinchen Chophel with us here, and he is also the member of UN Committee on the Rights of the Child. And we are curious to know, to learn from him. Also, please share with us how it can be the effective, especially like advocacy in Asia or Asia Pacific. Dr. Rinchen, I would like to invite you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I extend my salutations to the CRC Asia leadership and team members, all very good friends of mine. I take it as a privilege to be associated with CRC Asia and all the partners. And I see that so many good friends are now, connected, linked to this meeting today. And I also extend my greetings to all of them. So you can see that my work has been made very, very easy with my chair, Mikiko, outlining the whole conceptual or perceptional understanding of the general comment in the working, as well as the historical perspective on how the CRC committee and all other allied branches of the UN system has been trying to draw attention on a convergent collaborative effort to bring children's rights and the environment issue, together more meaningfully and also forcefully, as you can make out the word that was used in the CRC committee, the chair's statement on the Environment Day. One of the things which I believe is extremely crucial in terms of what Mikiko said was this whole importance that we must place on this intergenerational justice and the impact that what we don't do now will have in the generations that will follow, not to mention our own generations. The challenge now is, like Mikiko in her closing remarks said, how do we move forward now? As a chair, Mikiko has to deal with the normative standards of how a general comment actually flows out with the time frame that is normally taken. Again, to ensure that the urgency that is being felt and that has been expressed in the working group of the general comment, in which both Mikiko and I am both members, there is significant debate and emphasis that we cannot wait for 2 years for a general comment like this to flow, but we need to accelerate the process and to also find a greater convergence of all regions of the world and all children of the world to contribute towards making this general comment something that is substantive and something that will make, securing rights of children within the overall thematic agenda of environment meaningful to all of us. Now, if you look at our world, which is in a way very, very different, yet so similar, and environment impact and the climate change has made our globe so much similar in terms of the impact. We may have tsunamis in one area, we may have forest fires, wildfires in another area, we have flash floods somewhere. We have, the whole universe reeling under the impact of climate change. And for people, island nations and small, fragile Himalayan nations like where I come from, Bhutan, that stress is even much more bigger. And as Mikiko mentioned, on 28th May, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the CRC committee had an oral session with these 13 children who, lodged an independent complaint to the committee. And some of the views, the passion with which the children argued their point, made even, made many of us really, wake up and say, are we running out of time? Children talked about so many things, to the extent that even terms like climate anxiety. I think we have never, at least I have never used that term, climate anxiety, or heard about it, till the children mentioned that today's children are going through what is called a climate anxiety, which is like what we are talking about, the mental and psychological stress that children are going through due to the COVID pandemic. And the emphasis which the children made, saying that they are belonging to a generation, they are children of an environment debt created by us, and it is them who have to pay for that debt. And they are the ones, they said, who are inheriting a planet that is dying. Not only damaged, but dying. And I think these are really, really very heavy and, quite penetrating statements that we need to take seriously. When climate change related impacts hit a country or a community, the knock-on effects can can seriously undermine the enjoyment of the right to life, lived in dignity, and endanger a range of freedoms, in many cases, even put at risk the cultural survival of entire peoples. We talk about if the sea level rises so much, where would many of the island nations go? What would happen to many of these island nations? We are already hearing about migrations which are fueled and triggered by climate and disaster. And I think the general comment which is now on the table of the CRC committee, and as Mikiko said, as a personal view, all the committee, all the working group members, including myself, we are now seriously of the view that we cannot wait 2 years. We need to accelerate the process. We need to fast track the process. And we need to also make sure that in this process, we need to keep consulting children from all regions of the world. And we have to make sure that in the CRC committee's regular work, as we review the state party reports and hold our dialogues with the state parties, we must underline this issue of how environment and climate change is impacting on children's rights and how it is creating that deficit of justice, which will then create a nightmare for humanity as we move forward. So maybe it is important for me to also add a little element of my own personal conviction, not just as a member of the working group on this general comment. Living in Bhutan, a small country in the Himalayas, as we normally say, you need to hold a magnifying glass on the world map to spot where Bhutan is. But today, Bhutan is probably the oxygen reserve tank for the world, because government has invested so much effort into preserving our environment, our forest cover, our biodiversity. But the anxiety is very, very real. In about 3 decades ago, as a medical doctor practicing, malaria and mosquitoes were found in the hot and humid southern belts of the country. Today, very recently, a report came out where it stated that mosquitoes are found at the level of the glaciers, 6,000 meters above. Now, if that is not climate change and global warming, what it is? So that means everything is real. So therefore, for the CRC committee, we have to make sure that we need to drive this process forward. We have to make sure that what we do in the CRC committee has relevance to the other things which are being done globally, whether it is, Secretary General statement or building up on all the day of general discussions in the past. I think that is one part. Number two, I think between now until the general commit comes live, we need to make sure that we need to take this to different regions of the world. And as a focal point in the Committee for Asia, I'm very keen that different regions of Asia, different countries in Asia, and Asia as a whole, we must make sure that we put this on the table and discuss and get our views and keep feeding the CRC committee on one hand, keep feeding or putting our advocacy and our pressure on our respective state parties together so that we are able to contribute meaningfully together. And I want to end by saying that CRC Asia and SAIEVAC, and also as in my role as a member of the UN CRC committee and focal point for Asia, I am now calling for the second Asian Children's Summit, putting this thematic area as a focus for our discussions, and I hope this works out. I thank all of you for listening to me, and I want to thank my chair for making my work easy. And I want to also thank all of the partners who are attending this meeting for your work for children. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rinchen, for your interest sharing with us. I felt like this is not only like the information, but it's also like Dr. Rinchen show how urgency of this climate change and also environmental issue that we need to come up with the solutions. He really highlight on that we need to really start the consultation process with the children and bring from different level from community into international, and in the same time in different region in the world come together right now and go along with this general comment with this 2 year. So that is really like practical recommendation that we can take up and then going together. And once again, for every question and comments, you can go to the chat box and please address the speaker whom you would like to get the response with. That is will be later with the Q&A questions. That is very very fruitful from the beginning that you might, all of you might see it already. Then I will bring you to be discussed more a bit. As you might heard, like we have the session also about the Human Rights Council that urged the state party to take effective measures to ensure the promotion and also protection of the children's rights and healthy environments. And also in, for example, in March this year, at the 46 sessions on the Human Rights Council, and also mentioned about children have been part of the panelists, highlight the meaningful participations. This is the first time that children will provide a space to participate in this annual days on the rights of the children as the civil society representative. So that is a lot of progress going on this part too. And how we can localizing this Human Rights Council rights of the child, realizing the rights of the child to the healthy environment. Today, we have Agnes, our friends, program officers of the Child Rights Connect, to share with us as on behalf of the environmental working group. Agnes, please, the floor is yours here, Agnes.
Thank you so much, A. And let me begin by saying that it's a pleasure to be here today and to take part at the APPM. Thank you for inviting Child Rights Connect and on behalf of the working group to share what the working group has been doing on the environment, what our working group on the environment has been doing with the support of many of you to ensure that the Human Rights Council brings forward initiatives that contribute to strengthening standards around child rights and the environment. So today, as mentioned by A, I will be speaking about the resolution that the Human Rights Council adopted in 2020 on realizing the rights of the child through a healthy environment. I think one of the key messages that I want to share today is that Human Rights Council resolutions are somewhat unknown tools, resources that we can all use and that all NGOs can use in your activities when you're undertaking advocacy, working with children can be very, very useful tools, as these show commitments from states and recommendations from states to states. Something important as well is to say that a lot of efforts go into having strong resolutions from the NGO sides, from the state sides, and therefore, it's important that we use these resolutions to their full potential. Also, just to say, that these resolutions of the Council are very complementary with the other tools that we will be hearing about today. We heard about the Future General Comment. We'll hear later on about the policy guidance in the Asia region. So just to say that all these tools that we are talking about today are very complementary tools that you can use in your work. Just to begin by, as mentioned by the Human Rights Council is the UN intergovernmental body that works and is responsible for strengthening the promotion of human rights. It's composed of 57 members that meet 3 times a year, and at the end of the sessions, they adopt resolutions. Usually every year in March, the Council adopts a resolution focusing on the rights of the child, and now it's every 2 years. Every 2 years, we have a resolution on the rights of the child, and in 2020, they adopted this resolution with a focus on the environment. But it was not out of the blue that they decided to adopt this resolution. It was really, it came as a result through several years of advocacy from the child rights community about the importance of strengthening the links between child rights and the environment, and push the UN to recognize that the environment is a child rights concern. So as we've heard with Atty. Mikiko, let's say that perhaps like the first landmark event, the first milestone was the 2016 DGD. And then after that, several reports came from UN Special Rapporteurs and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, showing this relation between child rights and the environment. And so, as we've heard, the panel held, several discussions on this topic. The most important was in 2020 was the annual Day on the Rights of the Child, which discussed child rights and the environment with the idea of informing the adoption of the resolution. And this was, again, a milestone event because for the first time there were 2 child human rights defenders working on the environment that were given the floor and the opportunity to participate in this annual day and exchange with the states and policy makers at the Human Rights Council level. As working group as Child Rights Connect working group on environment, we did a lot of efforts to contribute to the discussions. We issued a call to action, asking states to issue a strong resolution, and so we were very pleased at the end with the results of the outcomes of this resolution. So as I was saying, why is this resolution so important? Is because it expresses political commitment from states, members of the council, but also, states can decide to express and make an explicit support for the resolution. These are called co-sponsors. And so it's a resolution that had a large support from a number of states. Around 80 states made this express commitment to support the resolution. And I just wanted to mention some from the Asia Pacific region, such as Fiji, Kazakhstan, the Marshall Islands, Maldives, Nepal, the Philippines, Australia, Mongolia, Japan, and the Republic of Korea. These are some of the states that made this express commitment to the resolution. So I think it can be this can show you, that you have leverage to use the resolution with these countries. And if I haven't mentioned the countries that you work in, just to say that it's anyway a resolution that had such a large support, and it was negotiated with very large support from members, so it still has very strong recommendations from states to states that you can use. Now, quickly moving to the content of the resolution and how you can use it. So first of all, I think it's just the resolution is grounded on the convention, and it tries to apply, the convention to the environmental context, and it really reflects, as we have been hearing today, these heightened obligations that the states have in relation to child rights and the environment. The resolution has a very broad approach, so it touches upon climate crisis, biodiversity loss, ecosystems, calls for policy coherence, prevention, mitigation, adaptation, health. So a very large number of issues, and showing how child rights can be applied to this broad range of environmental matters. And so here I really think that this tool can be very useful for your work in expanding the areas of work that you do in relation to child rights and the environment. And I think you can also, as I was saying, you can also use it to update or your funding strategies. One of the main, just to say that the main states leading this resolution are the EU states and the states of Latin America and the Caribbean. So there are two very large groups that have been leading in the negotiations of these resolutions. And so this gives you tools on who are the states that you can target, for example, to look for funding, because these are the states that supported and led the negotiations of these resolutions. So EU states are behind this resolution and have a strong interest on the resolution being implemented. So these are just some tips on how the resolution could be used. Some other important areas and highlights that I would like to mention is that the resolution clearly states the need to integrate a children's rights approach into environmental decision making and to consider the best interest of the child as a primary consideration. It recognizes that children are among the most harmed, and that, as we've been hearing today, but it also recognizes that children are the most vocal on environmental matters, and their rights are still being overlooked worldwide. And so that's, it's important that there is this recognition within the resolution. And so it talks a lot as well. It mentions the importance of adopting preventive and precautionary measures, which is a key element of a child rights approach to the environmental context, because of the reversible damage that environmental harm can have on children and future generations. And then, as I was saying, it recognized this positive role that children human rights defenders are playing worldwide on the environment. It calls on the states to provide environmental information, education, uphold their participation rights, their civil and political rights. And so this is a very strong message from states and a strong commitment from states of the need to integrate children in decision making related to the environment. So you can use this in your advocacy when engaging with the authorities at the local, regional, or national level, when there are discussions on the environment, climate change, health, businesses, when there are policies being developed. This resolution can be a very useful tool, to ask to be on the table, to ask to put children on the table, to involve them in discussions. And here I just want to share with you, as we've heard today, there was the Secretary General of the UN issued a call to action asking states to do more and committing to do more on involving children in environmental discussions. And I want to share with you a recent document that has been issued by heads of UN entities. It's a joint commitment to promote children's right to healthy environment and their meaningful participation in decision making. So it's a very high level commitment from states that you can also use, to promote children's participation in decision making at the international level. And just to wrap up, I know I have little time left, but the resolution also is very strong on children's obligation, on states' obligations, in relation to child rights and business, and the need for business to ensure a responsible conduct. And it's also very strong on, the importance of access to justice for children in this area. And so, this is a tool as well that can be very helpful for you to look at the national level for a stronger regulation on businesses, for for the improvement of access to justice, etc. Finally, just to make one last remark. Of course, the resolution also talks about the importance of policy coherence and cooperation. And, we also heard about this, the importance to collaborate, to look for this collaboration, to push for this cooperation among states. But I think it's also a message for all of us to also, is telling us that we cannot work in silos, that we also need to look for collaboration We need, as child rights organizations, we need to work with those working on the environment and bring a child rights approach, and we need to look for this collaboration when we work on the environment. And last but not least, the resolution also talks about the importance of the recognition of the right to a healthy environment at the national level. It makes a call for this recognition at the national level. As you know, around 80 states have already recognized this right at the national level, but now at the international level, states are looking to take a step further and are looking to pass a resolution for the recognition of the right to environment at the international level. The discussions and there is pressure to have this recognition passed in September. It's not clear if this will happen or not, but there will be a lot of efforts to try to push the states to pass this resolution in September, or as soon as possible, if it's not possible during the September session of the Human Rights Council. And I think this is also something that you can support at the national level by joining campaigns on the recognition of the right to healthy environment, raising awareness among children, and joining as well these efforts at the international level for the recognition of the right to a healthy environment. So, you know, this is a bit of a quick overview of the resolution and how you can use it. Save the Children is currently developing a tool as part of the How to Child Rights series. And it's a tool on how can you use and implement the resolution in a practical way at the national level. And, you know, I hope that this tool will be useful for all of us, you know, to make use of these unknown resources, which are resolutions of the Human Rights Council that really can help us in our work. And so I will conclude my presentation here, but just to say that also as well, I would like to extend our support. You know, if you have questions on how to use the resolution and how to use, we're, you know, very happy to continue to provide support in this regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. I'm very sorry for this like time constraint that you have, no? But anyhow, everyone can see like really the one of the ASEAN that have a lot more progress now. And thank you very much for really good work for being with us today. Thank you every speakers today. Thank you very much for everyone, also for this fruitful and insight discussion experience, for sharing the ongoing effort to work with the children and environment. Thank you very much for also our speakers, our attorneys, Mikiko, Dr. Rinchen, Agnes, and also Michael, that all the bring more perspective and also update, learning, and then how as the CSO we can work together more. A new CRC Asia strategy plan targets is provide the support the children participating in the climate action, especially due to changing the context of children participation caused by this pandemic. We all hope that our members and the network, not only here and be with us today, but all together to create the positive change together. And then we also would like to invite you to join hands together on the current global initiative to advance child rights to a healthy environment, and the global campaign in the name of My Planet, My Right. Our colleagues from CRC Asia will flesh out the links that you can join hands with us in this campaign, global campaign. We will flesh out the link in the chat box, and then please be active with us, and also work with and for children and young people all around the world with us for the children's right to healthy environments. Please feel free to come to join us. Once again, thank you very much for joining this first and also the kickoff session of our 2021 Asia Pacific Partnership meeting. With the time constraint, you might be not interaction with us much, but we hope that we will have the actual opportunity to come up together. And for this time, I would like to invite our Amihan. That's also like the director and also our friend who are being here with us for along the journey. Now for every member, every partner to be the closing remark for us. May I invite Amihan to be for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much, A. I certainly want to thank all our speakers who have helped us to understand the issue more. But I know that all of us are concerned about how do we move forward with all this information. Our friends are asking, how can we make sure that we can exert the pressure on our states to make sure that they actually implement what's already in the resolution? And how can we also help to speed up the process of making the general comments so that this can also guide the work that's going to be done. So there's so much work to be done at all levels. And because we are very strong advocates of working with children, we see that it will be very important to really continue to expand and strengthen our work to help children understand the climate crisis, how it affects them, and what kinds of action they can take from their own communities, as well as how they can band together to be able to exert pressure on governments to really enact the right policies and implement these. Of course, another big area of work is how are we going to reach out to the business sector to get them to become more of our allies, because they also live in the same earth. I mean, not all of them will be able to ride a spaceship and go somewhere else. There's nowhere else to go right now. So we all have to work together to make the earth a livable place for all of us. So I would like to invite everyone who has participated. We will be sending you more information about the campaign, My Planet, My Rights. And then we can also go through the links, and we'll also discuss perhaps what would be the ways in which we can contribute to the development of the general comment, and also how can we make sure that the resolution from the Human Rights Council is actually implemented or moves forward, that the people who need to know are informed, and we push everyone, we pull everyone together to work together and create action that will benefit our children and ourselves, no? To make this earth a good place for us to all live in. It's not going to be easy. We know that. We have had also children and unfortunately, Asia is one area where so many environmental defenders have also been persecuted and punished, and we've had even children killed in the struggle to defend the environment. But this does not deter us. So I would like to thank everyone who participated today. Please let's continue the discussion. Our emails. You can always get in touch with us, and if there are many other questions, we can still forward your questions to the speakers and continue the dialogue. So again, I'd like to thank all of you for being here and your patience. I know that the Zoom is not the same as being together in the same room where we can, make the connections and exchange more experiences. But this is what we can do for now. And I think in spite of all the limitations, it's so good to see all of you, even in the small pictures on the screen, to see all of you and to meet also not to have all the friends here, but also to have new friends join us. So I hope you will be able to, and it's also really great to see that our friends from the uh, big organizations like Save the Children, Plan International, and Child Fund are all here also to help work. And I also want to thank you for those who have supported the CRC Asia, and also our board members. I'm very happy to note that we have several members of our board of trustees attending today. So please join us again for the next APPM that will be next week. Again, another very interesting topic about how have children continued to participate in spite of being under the pandemic, or has the pandemic actually opened new areas of work or where children can contribute. So again, many thanks to all of you, and we look forward to continuing the dialogue and continuing to work together, because that's what we're known for. We get more friends in and we get more work done. Thank you again. Good afternoon and good evening to others. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you,
much,
A.
everyone. before we leaving here, if it might be pressure with for us, if you can also take the link for today post activity evaluation. We know that it's only 1 hours and a half. It's time is never enough, no, for every time that we all the member of CRC Asia come together like this. Now, but please, then we also know how we can improve on the next session. And please stay tuned with us. 11 August is our second session, right? The teams. And then please now we be also like engaging with us and more. For this to have child right to a healthy environment will be always the highlight for the CRC Asia member and also network more and more. I hope that everyone be stay safe and strong. Sorry for this time limitation and also like for the less interaction, but for sure we will meet each other again. Thank you and goodbye.